Today in your slice of life slash high school romance anime, we have My Lonely Neighbor Wants to Be My Mom. The Angel Next Door Spoils Me Rotten. I keep getting these titles wrong. This story follows the obsession of Shiina Mahiru with performing housekeeping and cooking services for her classmate Fujimiya Amane, for no apparent reason other than being a teenage boy with an apartment all to himself. Amane couldn't reject Mahiru's services. And since she ain't close with her family or friends, she starts spending more and more time in Amane's apartment, where they get to know each other better. While Mahiru insists Amane doesn't see her like a romantic partner because he doesn't pester her all the time, his mom is already sending her pictures of younger Amane. The most remarkable thing to me about this anime is the fact Mahiru thinks letting Amane see her room is too much. But her having the key to his house, doing almost all the house chores, exchanging text messages with his mom, calling him by his given name and letting him do the same while she occupies his bed is just another regular day at your nothing is going on between us friend's house. Now, jokes aside, even when this relationship may look wholesome, it isn't coming from a place of love, but rather from a place of pain. And in this video, I'll begin to explore the complexity of Mahiru's inner trauma that leads her to behave in this particular way. Mahiru is introduced as a lonely teenage girl who's crying alone in a park, while the pouring rain is falling all over her, and she doesn't even care. Then Amane comes and offers her the umbrella and she acts defensive. It wasn't until Amane left that she let her guard down. We will later find out that it has to do with guys always wanting to get close to her, to the point that she's unable to conceive that a boy can like her without him making her feel uncomfortable. That's why she swears Amane is not into her, in spite of all we see that's happening between them. And these very things are happening because she does want this kind of relationship. She just doesn't want to feel pressured into it. Hence when Amane told her, she relaxed and started looking for him very aggressively. So the first thing would be Mahiru associates guys who like her and want a romantic relationship with her with discomfort. It's an unpleasant experience for her. And maybe that's why she creates a false sense of security when she's around Amane, telling him this is not what it looks like even when it is very much what it looks like. She even tried to convince herself that there's no way in the world Amane develops feelings for her. Even when she does all these nurturing things and spends so much time together with him, while he lets her do whatever she wants. He even will sleep in the couch just because she rather occupied his bed than go into her own apartment, and even though it's literally next door. So she's trying to protect herself from this title that makes her feel uncomfortable and that in her mind may mean things are going to change for the worse. After all, they're having a nice time. Why will she turn it into an unpleasant romantic experience? Amane, on the other hand, tried. He tried. Because, well, he's just a boy and they're playing house. The only thing they're missing for it to be a millennial home is a cat. He also never tried to convince himself he didn't have feelings for her. Given Mahiru is used to boys only approaching her because of her looks, it could be that she isn't yet able to consider that physical attraction and true friendship can coexist in the same relationship. Amane can see that all those guys chasing her bothers her, just like it could bother anyone else, which could partly explain why he doesn't go after her like the other boys do. However, there is a much deeper reason for this. And it is Amane's low self-esteem. He doesn't think he's worthy of someone so perfect by society's standards like Shiina Mahiru is. We can see Amane is not in a great place either, emotionally speaking, and he expresses it by being a total mess and not caring about what he eats. To the point his friend tells him he looks unhealthy. This behavior may indicate he is somewhat depressed. When I first started watching this anime, it looked like your teenage power fantasy of living alone while your parents pay for everything and the girl you think is out of your league cooks and cleans for you, because somehow that makes her happy. But as time goes on, we get to know the real Mahiru and start to realize that this dream experience Amane is living is only possible because of how broken and how much pain Mahiru is enduring. For example, we get to learn that she doesn't seem to be fond of her childhood, since the relationship with her parents seems to be cold and distant. she recalls she was always lonely and that her parents don't even call her by her given name.
親には呼ばれませんよ、絶対に。
All this may suggest she's forcing her way into Amane's life so she can cope with loneliness, with the unmet need of being appreciated or feeling needed, or feeling that she's good enough, that she's useful, that she's making the world a better place somehow. And she does it by taking on roles and responsibilities in relation to him that are comparable to those of a mom. Because by playing this particular role, she might feel she's somehow meeting all these needs. Amane himself finds this behavior weird, and it makes him feel he's interacting with a mom.
今度私がその場にいたら確実にお風呂に放り込みますからね。おかんか。
Since kids need their mom, and Mahiru is looking to feel needed among all the other things I mentioned, she wants to create a situation where Amane needs her so she can fill this void. And we see this from the very beginning when Mahiru expresses her view on the way Amane chooses to live his life. It is safe to say she doesn't agree with it.
隣がお部屋だと思うと嫌です。家事ができないのに一人暮らしとか舐めているのですか？大体ですね。普段からこまめに掃除していればこんなことにはならないのです。
And that she wishes to impose her views on him in order to change his life according to what she thinks is right. And even when we might arguably say she's making a change for the better, when change doesn't come from within, said change either won't last or it will create a dependency upon the person that is bringing this change. Since Mahiru is looking to relate to Amane from this place of need, for this relationship to succeed, Amane must think he needs her as well. That's why when he tried to be more independent by making his own lunches, was met by a skeptical Mahiru who insisted on supervising him and making sure he knew his cooking was, well, unacceptable.
味のないスクランブルエッグですね。塩コショウは入れてないですね。かき混ぜすぎですね。そぼろになるまで箸で混ぜてどうするんですか。と注意したのに。
Yes, she's a pro. Of course, Amane's attempt wasn't going to cut it. But did she really need to be so disappointed that he tried? Well, yes, because as she herself came to admit later,
でも、もしあまねくんがちゃんと料理作れるようになったら、私はお役ごめんですかね。
Amane would stop needing her. And to her, that means he wouldn't have a reason to be with her. And she wouldn't have a reason to be with him either. Because she wants this relationship to be based on need. She doesn't want to relate to him as a girlfriend who is with him because they have a great time together. That's why when it comes to cooking, she continues to belittle him and prevent him from truly learning. So she can rest assured he will need her. Yet, the truth is, he doesn't need her like she would like to believe. And she doesn't really need him to need her like that for her to feel this void. Because she is choosing to relate to Amane from a place of need, but she's not his mom and Amane is not a toddler. They are two teenagers living alone next to each other. So, going back to her need of avoiding girlfriend-boyfriend titles, what would it mean for her that the person she works so hard to please develops true love feelings for her? Could she manage a different reality she isn't used to? Like her efforts being validated and corresponded? Apparently she hasn't received enough of that from her parents. You know, like the feeling she's appreciated and good enough, that they are happy she's part of their lives. Like the world is a better place because she exists. In fact, it looks like she doesn't consider they are happy to have her, or that their lives got better because she was born, no matter how hard she tries. And since we're talking about the first most important relationship a person has in their life, it might be that she unconsciously thinks that this is how love is, and she's used to it. The problem is it hurts. She's suffering. She isn't at peace with it. It's actually giving her a hard time. So maybe at some point there would be a debate on what's worse. Either staying with this familiar but destructive feeling or taking a leap of faith into the unknown. It is said that people sometimes tend to feel safer in situations or emotions they know, even when it's clearly not good for them to stay there. So maybe this fear of the unknown is what is keeping her from taking this big step. It's funny because sometimes it is automatically assumed that if something is unknown, it'll be bad. But what if it's not? What if a person was missing out just because they're afraid to try something different? And that's the thing. Mahiru will never know unless she tries. But the fear of it going wrong may be more important at this stage because she probably doesn't want to feel that pain again. Like she would take anything before feeling such pain again. However, that's where the reasoning stops, because she's still low-key experiencing this feeling all the time. It hasn't left her. And it is because of the same barriers she built to avoid it. The barriers that won't let Amane show all the appreciation he feels for her. How is she going to feel appreciated and loved and feel that she's worth it and good enough if she doesn't free Amane so he can express all this love he's developing for her? It's like doing the job of a manager but getting paid like an entry-level assistant. She works real hard, but then she just gets the friend title. And since what's going on doesn't match the friend tag, she will feel all those things I said earlier. If Amane were to get close to someone else, she wouldn't take it like a friend, because that is not what she's given. If that were to happen, it would be a real hit to her self-esteem and self-worth. Yet, she continues to create this situation where she doesn't feel worthy enough in order to protect herself from not feeling worthy enough. This is sponsored by Childhood Trauma Logic. So the second thing would be, Mahiru has big self-worth issues. And maybe this is why she belittles all she does. If she convinces herself that all she does is just not a big deal, then if someone doesn't appreciate it, doesn't matter, right? It wasn't a big deal after all. But again, this is where the reasoning stops, because what she's doing is a big deal. And she can lie to herself all she wants, but those lies won't change the fact that nurturing someone to the extent she does is a big deal. And that's why Amane reacts getting her presents and cake to show his appreciation for her. And it's the very reason he is falling in love with her. So again, in her attempt to avoid feeling unappreciated by others, she looks down on herself all the time. So all the time she's feeling undervalued. She's doing to herself the very thing she's trying to avoid others doing to her. How crazy is that? Childhood trauma logic. Lastly, she's also struggling with being seen for who she is in school. Everyone has this idealized image of her to the point they call her Angel, which in turn creates a separation between her and the rest of the class. She's like isolated in this special category that's out of normal people's reach. So her classmates don't even know her, but already feel less than her or not worthy of her, like Amane, which directly interferes with the normal development of her relationships. Maybe for this reason she begs him not to call her that. But I'm not sure Amane understands the kind of distance he was creating between him and her, and how he was neglecting the person he has in front of him, who's far from being an angel. She's just a broken high school girl looking for true love. And here I'm not talking about romantic love, just any kind of true love, be it from a friend, her parents, especially her parents. Did I already said her parents? She's very lonely. And she's just a teenage girl. She just wants a hug from mom and dad. And not having that is devastating for her, just like it would be for any other child. I like watching Amane's face every time he realizes the angel is in the perfect happy place he thought she was. So, what do you think? Will this anime live up to the expectations of developing all this unhealed childhood trauma, inner conflict I just talked about? Have any of you read the manga or the light novel? Let me know in the comments. Bye!